Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So at the outset, I also would like to say thank you to James Glover, the chairman of the Institute for the Advancement of Vedic Mathematics, for this invitation. And my sincere thanks also goes to Achard Alova of University of St. LaSalle, Bacolod, for introducing me to your organization, IAVM. Well, I have seen in the website as well as in the social media pages of IIPM that indeed you have several years of inspiring initiatives, which I believe can also resonate deeply with ethnomathematics, which is going to be the focus of my talk. In ethnomathematics, cultural elements are integral in the learning of mathematics. And today, I am honored to share with you some research and initiatives from the Philippines, but just a disclaimer that I could not actually share everything. It may not be a comprehensive review of everything. And in particular, I'll be sharing some of our experiences here in our university, West Visayas State University. And so I'll be dividing my talk into three parts. The first part is mandates and curricular initiatives, in particular here in our country. Second one would be on ethnomathematical research. And the third is mathematics teachers as culture bearers, where together we are going to reflect on ways forward. Here in the Philippines, it is no surprise that in a mathematics classroom, you might see, some pieces of food being discussed when learning about fractions. Say, as shown here, we have butterscotch, which is a popular food here in Iloilo City, our city where our university is located. Sometimes our students would have to bring some local products, just as the one shown here on the screen. This is a weaving product made of nito, a local material. It is because contextualization is important in education, especially in mathematics. It has been shown in our constitution that the state shall foster the preservation, enrichment, and dynamic evolution of the Filipino national culture. Aside from that, it has been passed into law Republic Act number 10066. This is known as the National Cultural Heritage Act of 2009, wherein the general objective would be to protect, preserve, conserve, and promote the nation's cultural heritage, its property and histories, and the ethnicity of local communities. And so the Department of Education has to heed those legal mandates. In 2015, this is Department of Education Order number 32. This is entitled Adopting the Indigenous Peoples Education Curriculum Framework. And this has served as a basis by our basic education schools for contextualization in general, and in particular in mathematics. So in that document, we can see how the Department of Education has defined contextualization. It is an educational process of relating the curriculum to a particular setting, situation, or area of application to make the competencies relevant, meaningful, and useful to all learners. And in that document, contextualization is being differentiated into two levels. One is localization, and then the other one is indigenization. And each of these definitions are shown on the screen. In terms of mathematics curriculum, we are currently applying or implementing a new curriculum. And indeed, no, it is indeed normal for a curriculum to evolve from time to time. And so before we are applying this framework, wherein explicitly there is a portion in that framework that would require mathematics teachers to consider contexts. And for us, contexts would involve beliefs, experiences, language, culture, and learners' prior knowledge and experiences. So such particular framework is now being transformed into a simpler one, as shown on the screen, though context is not explicitly stated in the diagram, but here in the description, it is still necessary that in teaching mathematics, the content should be relevant to the learning context. Okay, so that's how important it is now here in the Philippines to contextualize mathematics lessons. Here in our university, we do offer Bachelor of Secondary Education major in mathematics. As the basis for the implementation of this curriculum, we are referring to the Commission on Higher Education memorandum. In the memorandum, there is no inclusion of ethnomathematics, but we do believe in our institution, in our college, the College of Education, that ethnomathematics is essential for preparing would-be teachers. And so we have included this course, and it covers an overview of the development and rationale of ethnomathematics. It includes investigations and explorations of mathematical applications and connections in weaving, games, festivals, and cultural practices, as well as icons or landmarks. Connections of mathematics education to cultural practices will be covered in the course with the emphasis on the application of contextualization in mathematics teaching. We have interviewed several of our alumni in the program BS Ed Mathematics, and many of them claimed that the ethnomathematics course is one of the important subjects that help them in their preparation for teaching mathematics in basic education. It's also one of the uh, enjoyable courses that they have experienced, as shown here in the next slide. Now, let me share with you a snippet on what is happening in this course, because one of the topics in this subject is the inclusion of game elements in teaching of mathematics. There are also students who have redesigned the rules of local games in order to embed mathematical challenges. So, just a quick glimpse for about a minute. Let me show you what they have been doing in this course. They are actually playing sack race. It's one of the traditional games here in the Philippines. Okay, there you go. So just a glimpse on how fun it is to be involved in games and at the same time learning mathematics in the process. In the graduate school here in our university, we have also included ethnomathematics in the program PhD in Science Education, major in mathematics. It is a very brief course description as shown in our graduate school handbook, and it states that this is just a course that deals with mathematics that evolves from different cultures. So just a very short description. But then our students in this course can reflect on their own culture, identify and analyze patterns as in the literature, share mathematical connections found within one's own culture and those of learners. And in this particular course objective, my students conducted a seminar or sometimes a webinar if they cannot do that in person in order to share their findings about the connection between culture and mathematics. And the last one is also the most challenging because they have to develop a research proposal or a paper that sometimes they have to submit for publication. So this is one of the activities that they have conducted. This is entitled Pagtukib. It is a Hiligaynon term, which means to discover. So this is discovering mathematics and culture, and they focused on mathematical elements that can be found in our local plaza. This is Haro Plaza, and mathematical elements found in instruments made of bamboo, also this chair made of local material, and then this big bell, they call this as dakong lingana, so it's just a local term for a big bell. And they were able to share their findings to undergraduate students and mathematics enthusiasts. So those are some of the initiatives in the curriculum, as well as the mandates that we have been trying to apply in our teaching of mathematics here in the Philippines. Now, let's take a look at some of the research papers that have been accomplished so far in the past few years here in our country. But before that, let me just give a little bit of background about what we mean by ethnomathematics. I know many of you are already familiar with this term, but just to make it clear, when we speak of ethno, it refers to a group of people who share a common culture. And I am always emphasizing that culture is being shared, with people, with a group. If a particular practice, for example, is quite unique to an individual, I don't think that would qualify for ethno. So it is important that a group of people is involved, and this group of people must share common practices. And as Bodley emphasized, when we speak about culture, we have to include what people think, what they do, as well as the material products that they produce. And these three aspects may be used by mathematics teachers as basis for contextualization in the teaching of mathematics. So just a very quick overview about ethnomath. This is a research program, or sometimes this is called as an approach in the history and philosophy of mathematics with pedagogical implications, focusing the arts and techniques of explaining, understanding, and coping with different social-cultural environments, or what we call the ethno. And of course, we have to thank the Ambrosio for this because he has started the idea of coming up with ethnomathematics. It promotes citizenship. And I think that's the important part, wherein we try to highlight our own culture, Filipino culture in the case of Philippines, transmitting values as well and understanding rights and responsibilities in society. This is to emphasize that mathematics is not limited to a Western perspective. And this is also aligned with your organization about Vedic mathematics. We do understand that here in the Philippines, that colonization has played a significant role in our history. The Spaniards, as well as the Americans, have big influence to our culture, as well as to our growth of understanding of mathematics. But nowadays, even in modern culture, we have seen that the identity of the Filipinos is evident, as shown here, for example, in a popular singer costume. We can see a pattern, what she calls siluhia, which is found in local weaving product. And now it is being highlighted as a fashion statement. Our beauty queens are also involved in the promotion of local products. As shown here, we have our Miss Universe promoting local textile. And in fact, we have considered popular culture as a, as our ambassador, to promote local products. As shown here, we have a group called Alamat, who has been named as Telambasador, which is just an amalgamation of tela, which means textile, and ambassador. We have also ambassadors of cultures, just what is being shown here on the screen. This is another um, pop group who is representing the Philippines here in New York, promoting our Filipino culture. So with that context, even if we we do have colonization in our history, we can see, here in the Philippines that our identity is somewhat um is somewhat highlighted also in our current practices. Now, let me just share with you a very simple research that I have conducted before in 2013. This is entitled Mathematics and Panay Bukidnon Women in Alan Cabalfin's Paintings. Here, we have considered art as an avenue for us to discuss about mathematics. And aside from that, we may also use software, say Geometry Sketchpad, to mathematically analyze artworks. So I will not delve into the details, but this is just a possibility for those who are interested to explore how we can connect art and mathematics. Let me also share with you a research conducted by one of my advisees. This is entitled Sipnayan sa Palayan. Sipnayan means mathematics and Palayan means rice field. So this is about mathematical concepts and cultural values in rice farming in Aklan, Philippines. So what is unique about this research is the connection between mathematics and cultural values. And I believe that our value system here in the Philippines is um, has an important role, in our own culture. In fact, no, the subject values education is now required, no, in basic education. So as shown here, we have mathematical concepts which may be connected to some cultural values such as generosity or mapagbigay, no, pakikisama, getting along with others, makatao, diskarte, and many more. But I just would like to highlight pakikisama in here, which may be translated to getting along with others. So this is about harmony and smooth interpersonal relationships, wherein adjustments are made to the ratio of how profits are shared, among farmers and owners of the land. I understand that we can sometimes view mathematics as a subject which is very objective, wherein you say we have a ratio of 3 to 4, and that should be consistent all throughout. But if we are going to consider culture, that ratio may not be constant in a particular practice. It may be changed because sometimes we have to get along with others, in the community. Another one is this research wherein it has been found that Kalinga architectural features, now we're talking about architecture, such as square foundations, odd numbered stairways, symmetrical wall frames, and tessellated roofs encode sophisticated understandings of these mathematical concepts, symmetry, ratio, congruence, and sequences. So studying about these concepts may be done by using Filipino architecture as a springboard. This one also highlights that geometry is evident in shapes and measurements of the pond and in harvesting activities. And so this is important, for us to highlight that mathematics is actually evident, in everyday life. We also have here a systematic review, and this review covers ethnomathematics researches here in the Philippines. And we can see here some of the weaknesses and perhaps some of the strengths. Now, as shown in one of the themes, we have increasing emphasis on indigenous knowledge in ethnomathematics research. Indeed, now there is a strong emphasis on documenting indigenous mathematical practices, And this is also aligned with the mandate that I have shown a while ago. And this is, um, but there is one weakness. No, the research remains largely descriptive. And I think that's understandable. If we're trying to understand something, sometimes we have to begin with a qualitative or descriptive research rather than starting with application. So I think the next direction would be to apply what has been described by other research papers. Um, Another findings about methodologies used in ethnomathematics research, there is an increasing volume of publications means that much of the literature remains confined to descriptive narratives, indicating the need for methodological expansion and curriculum integration supported by longitudinal or action-based research. So since 2020, there has been a growing interest in ethnomath research within academic and institutional circles. But then again, the weakness is that interdisciplinary collaboration and weak international visibility may hinder the field's global impact. And so in this international conference, so this can also be a very good venue, for Filipino researchers to collaborate with other researchers around the globe. And there is insufficient research on the practical implementation and impact of this topic, as I have also mentioned in the first finding. And so there is a notable gap in research evaluating the real world effects of ethnomath based education. So researchers may consider conducting experiments because only 8.1% of studies evaluate learning outcomes, highlighting the need for controlled experiments and investigations. Here in our university, I have to admit that many ethnomathematics research would focus on qualitative exploration and descriptive research. And so, with our rich background about descriptive research in ethnomathematics, it is high time to proceed to application and perhaps evaluation of the results. And so, indeed, there is the potential of ethnomath to transform mathematics education. And perhaps we can learn from other countries such as New Zealand or Brazil to illustrate the possibility of incorporating indigenous mathematics into mainstream curricula. I can see, I can see that we are getting there, when I conduct trainings, for example, among basic education teachers, I can see that their outputs, say their lesson plan outputs, would really highlight the contextualization of mathematics by considering local practices and or local culture in general. And so we now reflect together, as a community of mathematics enthusiasts and teachers, that mathematics teachers are not actually only transmitters of content. We do not just look at mathematics objectively because mathematics should be understood in the context of our culture. Our teachers, our mathematics teachers in particular, may be considered as culture bearers who can bridge students' lived cultures and formal mathematical knowledge. Ethnomathematics positions teachers as mediators and not as replacers of knowledge. Teachers can help students move from cultural reasoning to mathematical reasoning without erasing their identity. And finally, teachers do not just add decorations to lessons, but recognize existing mathematical thinking. I think this is also important because I have seen some outputs done by researchers and mathematics teachers that would have to have a surface level or superficial integration of culture in mathematics teaching. What do I mean by that? That they're just trying to mention, for example, a particular cultural practice and may not necessarily seamlessly embed the practice in connection to the lesson objectives. So I think it is still important to have ample pedagogical content knowledge in order to really understand how a particular practice of the learner in the context of the culture can be embedded in the learning of mathematics, and not just by simply mentioning a particular cultural practice in the teaching of math. And so I encourage everyone, especially mathematics teachers who are watching this, let's answer this question together. What essential ethnomathematics ideas can I bring to instruction, research, as well as service to the community? And with that, I say thank you to IIVM for giving me an opportunity to share a little bit of something about ethnomathematical research and initiatives in the Philippines. And that will be all. Thank you.